Nothing I tell you can prepare you for what you will see on Nathema, Nyriss warned him. But I will tell you the history of the Emperor and his homeworld.
How can I know you're telling the truth?
She shrugged. Believe it or not as you see fit. If nothing else, it will help pass the time. She settled herself more comfortably, and as she spoke, her voice took on the sing-song tone of a children's storyteller. The Emperor's name was Tenebrae, she began. They say he was born with eyes as black as the void of empty space, and that he never cried, even as an infant. No animal would come near him, and when he began to talk, his voice carried a weight and power that should not come from a child. At the age of 6, he began to manifest signs of the Force, marking him as one of the ruling elite. But his parents were simple farmers, and the Force was not strong in them. Suspicious about the boy's power, his father confronted his mother, who admitted to having an affair with the Sith Lord who ruled over them. The father flew into a rage, attacking the boy's mother. Tenebrae stopped him, feeding on his father's anger and hate to call upon the dark side. He snapped his father's neck with a mere thought, killing him instantly. His mother died more slowly. Tenebrae made her suffer for months as punishment for betraying the family, torturing her with the Force as he honed his powers. Now orphaned by his own hand, he made the others in his village bow down to him. Those who refused, he tortured and killed through the Force. Over the next few years, his reputation and influence spread to nearby villages, and he amassed legions of both fanatical and terrified followers. He killed thousands during his rise to power. Many died just to feed his insatiable appetite for suffering, tortured for days in public executions so he could savor their agonizing ends.
This sounds more like a legend than history, Scourge remarked.
I cannot guarantee the truth of this story, Nyriss admitted. Those who witnessed the events no longer live to verify them. But if you had ever met the Emperor in person, you would not be so hesitant to accept the tale as fact.
What about Nathema's ruler, the boy's father? You claimed he was a Sith Lord. Surely he didn't sit back doing nothing while a child conquered his people village by village.
Tenebrae's father was named Lord Nyriss. He heard rumors, but they came from a remote and insignificant territory. He had long forgotten the simple commoner who had borne him a son, and he considered the plight of a few small villages beneath his notice. Had Nyriss acted more swiftly, the Emperor might have been stopped, but it took almost 4 years before he decided to go see Tenebrae for himself. Lord Nyriss intended to judge the child's power, to determine if he was worthy of serving the Sith Lord, or if he should simply be executed. But Tenebrae had no intention of serving, or of dying. When they met face to face, Tenebrae proved the stronger. Only 10 years old, he stripped his father of his power and his mind. Lord Nyriss spent his last moments weeping in terror, gazing up into the black eyes of his son. It took Tenebrae 3 more years to gain control of the rest of Nathema. Nyriss' firstborn son fled rather than face his formidable half-brother, but other powerful Sith sought to seize the empty throne. All fell before the dark prodigy, and with each victory, he grew more powerful and more ruthless. At 13, he presented himself to Marka Ragnos, the lord of all the Sith and the ruler of the Sith Council. Impressed by the teenager's ambition and power, Marka Ragnos granted him the title of Lord Vitiate. His position as ruler of Nathema officially recognized, Lord Vitiate returned to his home to conduct his research into the depths of the dark side's power. He stayed there for 100 years. When Mark Arachnos fell, Lord Vitiate did not join in the mad rush to claim his position. He was not part of the great hyperspace war against the Republic. When Naga Sadao and Ludo Kresh fought for leadership of the Sith, he took no side. But in the aftermath of the war, after our defeat at the hands of the Republic, and our flight to escape the massacre of our people by the Jedi, he emerged from his solitude to call a great council of all Sith Lords who remained. He invited them to his palace on Nathema, built on the site of his childhood home, the place where he had killed his adopted father and tortured his mother to death. He invited them to participate in the ritual to unlock the full potential of the dark side. He promised they would unleash power beyond anything they had ever witnessed or imagined.
Didn't they suspect a trap?
Perhaps, Nyriss shrugged. Some refused to answer his call, but many more came. After all, what could one man do against 100 Sith Lords? Remember, he was not the Emperor back then. He was merely Lord Vitiate, ruler of a single planet of no particular importance. He hadn't fought in any battles of note or achieved any great victories or conquests beyond his home world. He had the reputation of a scholar, not a warrior. And the Sith Lords were driven by fear. Many thought the Jedi would soon wipe them all out. They were desperate for anything they could use as a weapon against the servants of the light side. Lord Vitiate played upon these fears, convincing those who answered his call to set aside their suspicions of him and of one another, to join in a single glorious cause. Once they arrived on Nathema, they quickly fell under Lord Vitiate's control. He dominated their minds, crushed their resistance. He turned them into slaves of his will, forcing them to participate in the most complex ritual of Sith sorcery ever attempted. Calling on the dark side, Lord Vitiate devoured them. He fed on their power, absorbing it into himself, utterly obliterating all traces of his victims. But the ritual was not confined to the doomed Sith Lords. They were but the eye of the storm, the center of a vortex that spread across the entire planet. Every man, woman, and child on Nathema died that day. Every beast, bird, and fish, all the insects and plants, every living being touched by the Force was consumed. When the ritual ended, Nathema was no longer a world. It was a husk, sucked dry. Lord Vitiate sacrificed millions, stealing their life force to make himself immortal. Their deaths also made him stronger than any Sith who had come before, and he ceased to be known as Lord Vitiate. On that day, the Emperor was truly born.
Scourge wondered if Nyriss expected him to be horrified by the tale. If so, she was about to be disappointed.
The Emperor seized what was his by right, he said. The strong take from the weak. That is our way. Doing it on a scale of millions doesn't change anything. It just proves he deserves to be our Emperor.
So I used to think, Nyriss said, smiling ghoulishly. And then I saw Nathema for myself.